Hello everyone, welcome to 10 Minutes Astrology. Once a week, me and Alejo bring you something very interesting about the basic meaning of astrology from the planet, from the sign to the house. But, well, today, before we begin, I think we must do it now. Yes, I think so. Because next week, we have a very, very important event for our school. It's on the 26th of November. Mandela Clay and Dr. J. Lee Lehman going to talk about the Pluto in Aquarius and Saturn in Pisces. This is a whole series of a webinar because in 2023 we will have a Pluto move into Aquarius and Saturn move into Pisces, and this means the huge change, right, Alejo, in
Yes, I think
astrology.
so. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, so it's the best way to understand what a those change is about and what we can prepare ourselves. But also, well, I think it's very important if you are interested in this serious talk because we are not only about this month, we also have in the December is Fernanda Paiva and the Ling Bell, and in January, Alejo will pair with Dari Costello. And then in the February is the Liam McCarthy with Christine Skinner. We have like a full webinar and then all focus on different aspects of the Pluto move
Yeah.
into Aquarius.
And I think one of the great things about these webinars that you've organized, Rod, is that
Mm-hmm,
you're putting together like a renowned, famous, prominent astrologer who
mm-hmm,
has a lot of experience with
mm-hmm,
like these new emerging voices of
mm-hmm,
astrologers to
mm-hmm.
see like what are the different generations of astrologers, how are we
Mm.
seeing the same transit. I think it's going to be very cool.
Yeah, I like this idea. I think astrology is never a monologue. It's always about a conversation. Yeah, they could be, they could be different voice, they could be different idea, different concept, and we have different view. Especially through the dialogue, we may have more, more idea that would be, more inspiration. I
Yeah.
think this is the interesting way. Well, Alejo, come on, let's come to the today's topic.
Today.
Today's topic.
So,
So, please start.
no, you start first.
Are we playing the house game again?
Yes, of course. It's the seventh house.
Seventh
So
house.
today
Yeah,
is the seventh house. Yeah.
yeah.
So remember, if in the first house we said we have the person, we have the I, the person who goes into the room, goes into the world, what others see
Yeah.
about myself, the first house responds to the question, who am I? So the
Mm-hmm.
seventh house, which is right opposite that, will answer to the question, who are you? So the
Ah.
seventh house is the other. The first house is the I, the self, and the
Mm-hmm.
seventh house is the other.
That
And
is
then
one thing. Yep, yep, yes.
you
Sorry, I
go,
have
you
to
go, you go
interrupt
on. No,
you.
no.
We have displayed another side of the seventh house. In one way, we've been very polite to each other, and then suddenly there's a competition. Like I try to cut you
It
off.
could be. If you have Aries in the seventh house, it's not going to be that polite.
Yes, it's true. But it is very interesting because I think when you mentioned about another person, and then I think some people, if they read a little bit more about astrology book, they will ask, but I heard about seventh house is about marriage.
Ah, okay. Yes. So the seventh house will rule, because it's about the other, it will rule one-to-one relationships. So the
Mm-hmm,
idea that there's another person there
mm-hmm,
that in some ways define also who I am. And this,
mm-hmm,
I mean, this is quite important. I mean, when you grow up, when you're a baby, when you grow up, you
mm-hmm.
discover who you are because you are mirrored by the people that you meet. So
Okay.
the others give us a sense of identity. Imagine if you
Mm-hmm,
grew up, I mean, in a place where you didn't meet anybody. It's because we
mm-hmm,
meet other people that we define who we are and we discover who we are. Actually, it's quite interesting because in traditional astrology and also in modern astrology, one of the meanings of the seventh house is the open enemies. So
yes.
how come we have the open enemy with the person we marry? Maybe, maybe it's a bias on what marriage actually means, or maybe it has to do
Maybe
with
people thinking this way.
yeah, but probably it has to do with this idea that there's this other person helps me define who I am. So
Mhm.
if you think about open enemies, if you think about in politics, for instance, how a
Mhm.
politician creates an enemy to define his
Mhm.
image or her image, you may
Mhm.
think about this relationship with this idea of the seventh house. If you think about superheroes, I mean, we know
Mhm.
who Superman is because there's Lex Luthor, and we know what
Mhm.
Superman's traits are because they're the opposing traits that Lex Luthor has. And
Mhm.
so this is all about the seventh house, how we relate to other people, and how that helps us
Mhm.
discover who we are.
Well, that is a very, very psychological way to define this house. And it's beautiful because usually people are like, oh, it's just about the marriage. So they just move away. But it's also about you. It's how you see yourself from other people, how you identify yourself from your interaction and your relationship with other people. That is very interesting because some people were thinking about, oh, I don't have first house, I have a lot of the seventh house, so I don't have myself, but I give everything to my partner. I say,
Ah,
wait a minute, that's still how you identify yourself. And I like the idea about the people who who try to project themselves to the other people. This is not me; it's all of you or something.
mm,
I feel quite interesting because this kind of a first house and seventh house game in the chart somehow is so interesting by this
it's very
way.
interesting. And I
Yeah,
would say, if I'm allowed to bring in more things that are not so astrological.
please.
So, as you know, so in analytical psychology, the psychology of Carl
Hmm.
Jung, he defined the concept of individuation, which basically means becoming an individual. It means becoming who you really are. Stop being what people think you are, what people project on
Uh-huh.
you, and becoming who you really are. And this may sound self-centered, but Jung was very clear on insisting that you cannot
Mhm.
do individuation if you don't relate to other people. It is through
Mhm.
other people and through your relationships that you discover who you are and you can do the process of individuation.
Wow, this message is so powerful and so rich. I mean, and it gives the seventh house more meaning. How about we look our example today and just
Yes,
like a
let's.
little bit use apply it, and then I will not doing like last week forget exercise. I promise.
Okay.
Let's go to the chart. We still using the Amy Whitehouse because she has two planets in the seventh house, Moon and Neptune. I hope.
Hmm. So we're not going to talk about Neptune yet, of course,
Mm-hmm.
but we can talk about the moon. So we know the moon
Yes.
is our basic instinct, like it's what makes us feel safe and secured,
Mm-hmm.
and our place of home, right? Where we feel, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
where we feel protected. So if somebody has a moon in the seventh house, it might mean that they need other people. They need to be in relationships. They need to
Mm-hmm.
be contacting with one-to-one intimacy
Mm-hmm.
in order to feel safe, in order to feel at home. It's something that they crave for. They need it,
Mm-hmm.
probably.
Mm-hmm.
It could also be because, like Rod was saying, sometimes what we have in the seventh house, we project it outside. It could
Mm-hmm.
also be that we meet people who bring that energy to us. So we don't
Mm-hmm.
recognize that we need to be in relationships, and we need people who remind us that,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, we need to be relating to other people. It could also be that the relationship she makes, the one-to-one relationships she makes with
Mm-hmm.
other people, becomes a bit lunar, and that means becomes a bit maternal. So maybe she's
Mm-hmm.
mothering her partners, or it could also be the other way around. She behaves like a little child, and she feels mothered by her
Mm-hmm.
partners. Now, this moon is in Capricorn, which means this
Mm-hmm.
moon is a very mature, self-reliant, autonomous moon. So I think it's more
Mm-hmm.
likely like she will be the one that feels like she needs to nurture others. What do you think?
Mm-hmm. Well, yes, it is very interesting because this moon, I agree. When I see this moon, I the first things I think is about there is a need of the taking care of other, or that other people taking care of her, and in a professional level. So what I think is, well, it would be related to like a business partnership or in
Mm,
the working environment. If if applied in this way, would be totally. I didn't say it totally happened in this way, but I say it would be nice to express in the certain, working or professional standard related partnership in this
Hmm.
way, because I think seventh house, as we just talking about, is not simply the marriage, but it is one-to-one relationship. It could be a partnership in the
Hmm.
working environment too. And I think this moon in Capricorn would be would be really, really beautiful and useful in this kind of environment. But into when you put in the one-to-one romantic relationship, there's still a taking care. There's still a need of mothering the other, or
Hmm.
someone else look after yourself. But that little bit dry, a tiny bit dry there,
Yes.
because the Capricorn is not best or most affection side with the with affection with love and joy and those things. But I think it's very practical. Could be very practical in
Yeah,
here.
I mean, the taking care will
Yeah.
express itself in practical
Mm.
ways, not in
Yes.
emotional ways,
Yes.
but in a very grounded
Hmm.
way. Yes.
Yeah. The moon in seventh house, I think basically doesn't matter which side it is, created a very strong bond
Mm,
between
yes.
two people. This could be she and her partner, she with her business partner, or colleague who are equal. I like the seventh house is about equal things.
Yes.
Is you don't pick up someone who have a less ability than you, or who is underage and become a partner. It must be the equal thing. It must be an equal thing, equal either equal in ability, equal in maturity, or mental health, and every environment. So that is like the partnership. You have to balance each other, and that is also when I do the consultation with client, somehow most of the client, if they bring the relationship issue with the seventh house, and somehow I can see that imbalance
Mm,
there, or they see imbalance, but they didn't see they exactly the balance. That's why maintain the relationship there, and have to point out there is a balance there. Have you noticed that? So that's why I like the seventh house with that the kind of you are equal.
hmm.
And so
Cool.
they for this the moon in seventh house, it would be a problem if people just thinking about, oh, it's always I look after you.
Yes, exactly. Yes.
Yeah, yeah, and then
It will
didn't
be a
realize
problem.
didn't realize other people also look after you too.
Hmm. Yes. Yes.
Yeah. Anything else you want to add in this chat, or we should give the exercise?
I think let's go for the exercise. Yes.
Okay, cool.
So we are talking about the moon. So let's talk
Yeah.
about the two other planets. The other day we
Mm-hmm.
used Saturn, so let's not repeat Saturn. I would say let's do for Mercury and Mars. How would you feel? How would you
Mm-hmm.
interpret Mercury being in the seventh house?
Mm-hmm.
And how would you interpret Mars being in the seventh house?
Cool. So Mercury in the
Mm,
seventh house, what's Mercury quality going to display? Some people
yes.
usually say, am I going to choose a mercurial type person? Yeah, we already talked about in the Amy Whitehouse chart. So there is a quality like that. So what's the Mercury's quality in your one-to-one relationship, and what is a Mars type energy or a Mars type quality display in the your interaction with another person? That would be so interesting. Well, thank you for the watching and listening 10 minutes astrology. This week we're talking about seventh house. Oh, next week I can't wait. Ooh, I like next week. So next week, Alex, we're going to talk about
Next week we're going to talk about eighth house.
eighth house. Ooh, oh la la.
What comes next? It's eighth house. Yes. Are you ready?
Yeah, so mysterious. I love this house. Well, it's very interesting. And if you really want to know, please come back next week. If you have any question and feedback, please send a message at AOA on Telegram or send email to us aoa.inquiry@gmail.com. Alejo is on Instagram. His Instagram account is
My Instagram account is Liminal Cosmos.
Liminal Cosmos, and you can find me at AOA Please, also, you are very welcome to join us with on the Facebook page 10 Minutes Astrology. We are learning astrology there together. Every week I will put some video and some important event to share. So if you join that, you can very quickly, when we have a video release, you can get it first. Okay. So well, next week we can talk about the 8th house. Stay in tune. Bye.
Bye bye.